So you've done it. You finally walked away from a narcissist, shut that door, and decided for good that you're not going back. You hold so much power in that moment. But, the question that always seems to linger is, what is actually going on in their head? Let's get into it. Let's look inside that internal collapse and see what really happens when they know you're gone forever. You've made that incredibly hard choice, the necessary one, to take your life back. But for the person you left, this is not just a breakup, not even close. It's the trigger for a massive internal crisis. So what's really going on in their mind when their number one source of validation just vanishes? And this right here, this is the key to understanding everything that follows. Their reaction, the anger, the drama, it's not a sign of strength. It's not even about love. It's the sound of a very carefully built but incredibly fragile reality just completely shattering. Their entire sense of self is a house of cards, and you just pulled out the one holding it all up. Okay, so the collapse itself, it all starts with the loss of one thing, one absolutely critical element: control. And for a narcissist, control isn't just something they like to have, it's essential for their psychological survival. To really get why your absence is so catastrophic for them, we have to talk about something called narcissistic supply. It sounds kind of clinical, but just think of it as their emotional fuel. You were a primary source of that fuel, the attention, the validation they desperately needed to feel important, to feel superior, to even feel real. When you leave, you cut off their lifeline. This metaphor is just perfect. Losing control is literally a form of psychological suffocation for them. Being able to manipulate you, to dictate the emotional temperature of the room, that's what keeps their fragile ego inflated. Without it, they honestly feel like they can't breathe. And the difference in how they process an ending versus how a healthy person does, well, it could not be more stark. For most of us, a breakup is awful, it's painful, but it can lead to reflection and growth. For the narcissist, it's an existential threat. They can't reflect, so they panic. They can't accept it, so they blame. Their entire inner world is thrown into chaos because their main shield against themselves is suddenly gone. So what happens when all that chaos starts churning inside? Well, it doesn't stay inside for long. That internal collapse has to go somewhere, and it inevitably erupts into a series of really predictable and often very aggressive external behaviors. This is such a great way to think about it. From a distance, their ego looks impressive, right? It's shiny, it's strong, but it's all an illusion. Your act of leaving for good is the pressure that proves just how fragile it is. And it doesn't just crack, it shatters into a million pieces. And these are the shards. These are the desperate moves they make to try and feel like they still matter. First, there's the rage, pure, uncontrolled fury at losing control. Then come the smear campaigns to rewrite history and paint you as the villain. They'll try to provoke you, to get any reaction at all. And then, when nothing else works, you get the fake apologies, the sudden remorse, the attempt to hoover or suck you right back in. None of this is about love. It's all about their ego's survival. Now, long after that initial shockwave, after the rage has died down a bit, something else starts to fester. It's this really toxic emotional cocktail of envy, bitterness, and a really deep, deep resentment. And these three poisons pretty much define their inner world after you're gone for good. They envy your freedom, your authentic strength. They're bitter because their sense of entitlement has been completely violated. And they resent you. They resent you for having the power to just walk away and expose how weak they really are. Their envy is a special kind of twisted, too. They don't just envy your happiness or your success like a normal person might. No, they envy the very thing that makes it possible, your authenticity. Your ability to build a life from your own inner resources is something they literally cannot do. So to them, your independence feels like a massive, humiliating personal defeat. So to protect that shattered ego, they have to rewrite reality. They do these mental gymnastics where they take your greatest strengths and twist them into horrible flaws. Your independence, suddenly that's arrogance. Your kindness, oh, that was always a weakness. And those healthy boundaries you finally set, that's just you being selfish. It's all a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the one truth they can't handle. You are thriving without them. And at the end of the day, their resentment isn't even really about you. It's a mask. It's a shield they use to cover up the profound shame and humiliation they feel. You didn't just leave them, you exposed their limits. You held up a mirror to their powerlessness, and they will never forgive you for making them see it. And all of this leads us to their deepest, most primal fear. It's not being hated, it's not being disliked. In their mind, it's something so much worse. It's the fear of becoming completely and utterly irrelevant to you. Just think about this for a second. Hate, anger, even sadness. All of those emotions are still a form of narcissistic supply. They prove the narcissist still has an impact on you, that they still exist in your mind. But indifference, well, indifference is a vacuum. It offers them nothing. It says you never really mattered. And for their ego, that is a fate far worse than death. And this really gets to the core of their terror. A narcissist's entire identity is built from the reflections they see in other people's eyes. If you no longer think about them, or talk about them, or react to them, their significance just evaporates. In their mind, your indifference doesn't just hurt them, it completely annihilates them. So your silence, your indifference, it forces them into the one confrontation they have spent their entire lives running away from. A confrontation with themselves, and with that huge emptiness they've tried so hard to hide from everyone, including themselves. By going no contact, you're doing so much more than just setting a boundary. You're holding up a mirror. And without your attention to distract them, without your reactions to feed on, the only thing they're left with is their own reflection. And what they see staring back is that profound inner void they can no longer escape. And this is the superpower of no contact. They are absolute masters at twisting words and manipulating emotions. But silence? Silence gives them nothing to work with. You can't argue with it. You can't rationalize it away. It is just an absence. And in that absence, all their defenses just crumble to dust. Okay, so let's bring this whole thing back to you. It is so important to reframe what you did. This was not just an act of self-preservation. It was an act of profound reality-shattering power. I want you to really let that sink in. Your decision to choose yourself, to enforce your boundaries, and to walk away for good did more than just end a chapter in your life. You, by yourself, dismantled the entire fragile reality they had built around you. Your strength exposed their weakness. Your truth shattered their illusion. And never ever forget that their collapse is not your fault. It is not your responsibility. It is the natural consequence of their own internal emptiness. While they are stuck spinning in that cycle of resentment and bitterness, you are free. Their world fell apart because you had the courage and the strength to start building your own. So the only question that really matters now is, what will you build next?